So, Brian and I both attended the Rhode Island School of Design, and that's where we met. It was around 1993, I think, right?
No.
Okay.
95.
95?
I was in high school in 1993.
All right. Oh, was it? Because it wasn't my first year there.
No.
All right.
Start over.
My name is Michael DiMartino, and I am one of the creators and co-executive producers of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
And my name is Brian Knitsko, the co-creator of Avatar and the art director. We had worked together since school and out in LA for a couple of years. And we come at things from like a very different point of view, but I don't know, there's something, I feel like we always made a good team.
My goal was to always create a show and run a show and that sort of thing. And then Brian had similar goals, so the time was right, and we sort of said, hey, let's work together and come up with something great.
March 2002, I emailed Eric Coleman, the head of development at Nickelodeon, and said, my friend and I are working on a show, we'd love to pitch it.
I remember going out to a lunch with Brian and just saying we're looking to develop shows kind of in the vein of just legends, lore, deep mythology. So we talked about the ingredients that should be in this pitch that hopefully he was going to develop.
He said, kid POV, keep that in mind. It's like, whether it's a kid character as your main hero or a non-human character that kids can relate to, like SpongeBob or something. I told Eric, look, we'll come back in a month. I don't know what we're gonna pitch, but we'll pitch it.
The next Peabody Award goes to Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is really cool. This is crazy. We're deeply humbled and grateful to accept this award for Avatar. Thank you to the Peabody Award.
My recollection of the story is that we had kind of like spread out all our ideas on the table, like sketches or just, just concept ideas of what kind of series we would want to do. But one of the drawings was something Brian had done, and there was like this little robot monkey dude.
He was this little Cyclops robot monkey who had an arrow on his head, and he had like a futuristic...
Oh, he had the arrow.
He had a futuristic staff. And then there was this bipedal polar bear who had like a kind of sci-fi like gear bag over his shoulder, and this like bald kid.
Did he have the arrow on his head?
Nope.
He did? Okay, he did not have the arrow on his head at that point.
I took the arrow from the monkey and put it on the guy's head, and that was Aang. That was the first drawing of Aang. It's one of these things, like, I wasn't thinking of Mike, but I mean, it's such a perfectly... Look, I mean, the shape of that head, if you saw my head, it's like a Klingon. I mean, I have like this ridge, Mike, this is an aesthetically pleasing shape. But I liked the drawing. I didn't know what it was, but there was something interesting about it. It then meshed with these ideas that Mike had about all this stuff in the South Pole.
I had been watching documentaries about Shackleton's crazy Antarctic expedition and ship getting caught in the ice and all these guys surviving against all odds.
Wait, so you're looking at a drawing of a little kid with an arrow in his head, and you're like, I got it. Shackleton.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
how
Shackleton was going on.
Yeah, that wasn't about that drawing specifically, but it was like...
Yoga is when I put that together.
That was when it all came together.
It was pretty late at night. I was in Bikram yoga. I was drenched in sweat. I thought of combining his Shackleton idea with this kid. I had to tell Mike this idea.
Calls me on the phone and says, I got this crazy idea.
We didn't have cell phones back then,
Wait.
How did you call me?
I didn't call you. I showed up.
Oh, you just showed up. You didn't warn me.
I didn't call.
Okay,
I didn't have a phone.
He came over and pitched this idea of fire people attacking a water tribe. That was kind of like a big moment where like the idea of the four nations sort of gelled together.
The little robot monkey evolved into Momo. The big polar bear thing evolved into Appa. We hashed out, a huge part of the whole world and the story arc. And 2 weeks later, we pitched it.
When you work in development, you're kind of very used to taking a lot of pitches that are not very exciting or not very enthralling.
You basically have, I don't know, people say like 7 minutes to get your whole idea across.
My take was that we broke every possible rule.
They went on, and they started to get so into the details of it.
It was this onslaught of like words and art to Eric. And then bending, Fire Lord, and this.
It was like 2-3 hours long.
They do this and fire comes out. And then in season 3, they're invading. And he's like, stop.
Stop talking, kind of like, I'm already in, this is fantastic.
Maybe that's a good lesson. Like we just spoke from our heart and we're passionate about the idea and the world and the characters.
But we need to sort of slow down. We need to make a deal, put this into development, and then produce a pilot.
We hadn't been like fully picked up yet. You got to make a pilot, like a short 11-minute thing that they're going to test for kids.
I went and had an apartment in Korea for about 3 months. Worked alongside the artist there, and Mike came over for a few weeks. And it was an intense time. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Really the biggest challenge was just how to live up to this incredible vision for the show they had.
2003년에 그러니까 아바타 파일럿 영상 제작할 때 그러니까 몇 년이야? 5년 전이구나. 5년 전에 내 첫인상은 그랬어요. 그러니까 이 아바타라는 그 캐릭터를 딱 봤을 때는 이게 될까라는.
분야에 따라서 이제 원투가 달라지고 이런 거에 대한 상황을 잘 파악을 못했기 때문에.
There were some lonely times living in Korea for months, just cut off from friends and family, just getting up, getting into the studio at 7 in the morning, working till 10 at night. There were times when no one in the world cared about Avatar except us. And we were just carrying this whole thing, trying to drag it into reality and trying to show the people what it could be.
One of the tricky elements was how to have action without violence. And they came back with firebending, waterbending, airbending, earthbending. It was just such a great way to be able to fight without it feeling inappropriate for a kids show.
We finished the pilot and we turned it over to Nickelodeon.
The intention of a pilot is to get enough people to buy in and say, okay, we're on board. The stakes get higher. So you have focus group testing with kids. The response was pretty great.
Eric said, oh no, it tested really good. Everyone really liked it. And we heard that we got picked up for 13 episodes. Our friend and future writer Josh Hamilton was there, and his reaction was, get out of town. I think he even clapped and everything. We just got to Providence, Rhode Island, where Brian and I met. 1992.
No, 1995.
The illustration department's happy to welcome today Mike DiMartino, class of 96 in FAV, and Brian Konietzko, class of 98. Brian and Mike.
Coming, everybody.
Season 1 was by far the hardest.
This is where things exponentially expanded. The pilot was a small crew, but now to do a whole, the first pickup was for 13 episodes, and it was to do that many episodes in the same amount of time we did this 12-minute pilot is like, oh my God, we needed like all these people. It's crazy.
My name is Joaquin Dos Santos.
Katie Matilla.
My name is Tim Hedrick, and I was a writer on Avatar.
We kind of handpicked the people that we had worked with and really loved their attitude.
My name is Benjamin Wynn.
I'm Josh Hamilton.
My name is Jeremy Zuckerman. I did the music for Avatar.
And we wanted to kind of assemble what we thought was like the crack squad of great people.
I'm Sifu Manuel Rodriguez.
John O'Brien.
Angela Mueller.
Maybe a little hard to pronounce, but Seung Hyun. Oh, you can call me Seung.
I'm Giancarlo Volpe.
Andrea Romano.
Sifu Kisu. I was the martial art consultant.
A huge component, obviously, of making a martial arts epic is the martial arts. And we didn't want to just like copy stuff from movies, and knew that would run dry pretty quick and be too derivative. So we need to, to really get down and learn some like real traditional Chinese martial arts. And, I had done martial arts as a kid. And, I hadn't practiced it in years. And
I had seen The Karate Kid.
I couldn't before Avatar, I couldn't get Mike to watch a Kung Fu movie. So we said, we're going to have to find a consultant, like someone who's an expert in martial arts. They found Sifu Kisu. And I became his student.
I met this kid who's in my class. He started to excel at the techniques, which caught my attention, and talked about this idea he had for a show.
We pitched him the concept, and he just lit up. He got it right away, and he started talking about tornado power.
He talked about airbending in this little monk. It just immediately came to me. Bagua, which is based on the Book of Change, the I Ching. The water bending was something, soft that just fit Tai Chi completely. The Fire Nation called for the, crisp, long, clean, cutting movements of Northern Shaolin. Earthbending, really tight, close movements, and that just screamed for the Hung Garp style.
There was also a Sifu Manny.
Let's bring in Master Manuel.
And he has this really distinct style of Kung Fu that was just like, I don't know, it's like rare, and rumor has it was founded by blind warriors on some remote island or something. It's very appropriate to the Toph character.
I practice a very obscure form called Chu Ka, commonly known as Southern Praying Mantis Kung Fu. One day, Kisu came and asked me, we're looking for an unusual style for a particular character in a project that we're working on, obviously Toph.
So the basic stance for Toph was this. Because she was blind, but I don't know how to express in English, but she just won.
I think this is a really good system for this blind character, because I don't have to look at all. Once I make contact, he goes to move, I'm already there, see?
Brian was really intrigued when he saw Manuel, because it's like, he comes walking out, he looks like a little Baptist preacher. You have no idea that you're close to one of the best fighters in the world.
When you watched the scene from Avatar, you would know, like, whoa, that looks kind of real, like that's based on something.
The director and Brian would break down a script and kind of work out and choreograph the fight scenes and stuff like that, and they'd all be videotaped.
You can videotape something and then watch it back instantly. So why not get a bunch of reference for animation? It's just going to look better.
Second one is big roundhouse kick, and then he lands on his ass.
We would do an average of 3 video sessions for every episode and every move.
Use those fans to close the gap with all the blocks. You want to start over by the speakers.
Like, we took several ideas from the videotapes, and then we used for actual storyboard, and so that we can reference and what kind of movement we are going to use, or specific angles, or what kind of fight.
There were a lot of fight scenes where we'd have, Aang versus Zuko.
There's always two characters if there's a fight, right?
Kisu would play one guy, and Brian would sub as the other, almost, exclusively.
And action. Action.
Avatar was not an easy show to work on. I was not used to drawing stuff in all of these crazy angles. And then like Brian would say these crazy things like, you know, in this shot, I want you to kind of use, you know, like a wide angle lens.
I just wanted it to be cinematic and have space, depth, and atmosphere. And you would see that in a lot of anime, you know, the stuff that we really connected with. Just this incredible observation of the real world, you know, and even if it was a fantasy thing, or they're just like, it was very filmic, you know, there was like lens differences in like what lenses they were drawing.
Like, I mean lens, like it's a pencil on paper. I don't have a lens here. But he was going for this look, and like I had to learn all that stuff. And when you're like fresh out of a sitcom type of show and you have a deadline and you're trying to draw these, you know, kung fu scenes with a wide angle lens, like that's crazy. Like they didn't prepare me for that in art school.
We really wanted this world to run very deep, and you know, the threats had to be real, and these characters had to be real and flawed.
A favorite character?
My favorite character?
Yeah. Sokka, I think, was my favorite.
I can't say that there's one.
In a weird way, I kind of feel like I connect with all the characters, and I feel like that's what maybe a lot of the fans like. I feel like everyone maybe is a little bit of Katara, a little bit of Sokka, and a little bit of Zuko.
Everyone's favorite character, I guess, it's Zuko.
Definitely Zuko.
He has a destiny, he has a sad history.
He's always sulking, and it's really tormented all the time, and it's, I gotta regain my honor and my dad in this relationship. I think the most beloved character, and the one I relate to most, is Uncle Iroh, because he's fat, he's just, you know, having a good time, just kind of out on the adventure, and he's dealing with these kids.
I'm just kind of a fan of the old wise man archetype.
Such delicate humor and such a dear character.
This is a gujin. It's a Chinese zither. The instrument was created thousands of years ago.
That was in Uncle Iroh's, that was like his final song to his...
That's right, yeah, we used it in... right.
The track team is Ben Wynn and Jeremy Zuckerman, good friends of ours, who did the sound and music for the whole series. Like with everything on Avatar, we kind of did mix things up, and we didn't want to just use the same composers who would do the other shows, or, you know, we just wanted to get kind of a different vibe for the music and sound.
Once we knew we were doing Avatar, we started amassing random instruments. This is it's called the kalimba, and it's a African thumb piano.
This is a Chinese lute, another extremely old instrument.
I don't know, what do you even call these?
I guess bead drums.
It sounds like a battle cry or something.
Yeah, I got a splinter from it. This is a duduk, Armenian wind instrument.
And these are all over Avatar because they're epic.
So after one of your episodes aired that you wrote, did you ever like go on the message boards to see like what the immediate reactions were?
No, for sure. I mean, we'd gotten a taste of it because of stuff people have been posting online. Like, you know, we didn't want to read too much, but you're curious.
I think we picked up some kind of anime terminology that we gleaned off the message boards at one point. Like, oh, we need more shipping from Aang and Katara. That means like, I guess it comes from the word relationship. Like when you see two people, you know, falling in love or kissing or something, that's shipping.
It's crazy how devoted people are to like, Aang's gonna hook up with Katara, no, Katara's gonna hook up with Zuko.
It's two factions of people who go for the Aang-Katara pairing, and then the Aang-Zuko. No, that's not right. The Zuko-Katara pairing.
Who hasn't felt like Aang at some point? When you're pursuing a girl and she's just gonna go after that guy who really doesn't care about her. Man.
There's nothing. It should be a script that's called The Surface Path.
Andrea Romano was our voice director. She was fabulous. growing up, I'd seen like Batman, the animated series, and some other, other cartoons. And so like when the time came, it was like, hey, we should get a voice director. Like, I wonder, the only person I know is Andrea. I've heard just great things about her.
I could do a whole seminar on gasping. What, is it a type of gasp? Is it a sharp type of gasp? Is it a gasp that has more voice to it, which would be, or is it a...
I always enjoyed when I could, just go watch the actors record.
Most people don't know that in animation, the voices are recorded first. And so it's kind of like the old radio plays, the way they were done. A lot of actors sitting in front of microphones with a music stand and a script, and basically running through rehearsal, recording. Avatar was like a family. And just watching the dynamic between that kind of family that grew together was remarkable. And so as we knew the series was wrapping and that there was not going to be any more episodes made, it just was never planned for there to be more. There was a very finite story planned from the very beginning. I was very sad.
There's nothing glamorous about making animation. It's very tedious. You're just in your little box and you've got all your production woes. It's just like Sisyphus rolling this huge, tedious, nerdy rock up a hill. And then once or twice a year, we get to go to these conventions. It would energize us, and then we go back to work.
It's been fun to meet all the fans, and for artists like us who are used to just kind of hiding away and drawing and writing, it is rewarding to go to those events and see the fans and see just how much they are into the show.
You guys have made my life so enjoyable. Thank you so much for making a great show.
Hey, congratulations, you guys are doing a great job.
It's a wonderful show.
Thanks. Thank you.
Half our fan base, maybe more, is very passionate female audience.
Such a big fan of the show.
From the beginning, Brian and I always thought hey, there's no reason why boys and girls can't enjoy a good action adventure cartoon,
How you doing?
Good.
What's your name? Marissa? Who's your favorite character? Yeah, you like
I have to thank you so much. I have 57, I counted, friends that I met through Avatar, including a boyfriend.
I just want to say how grateful I am that you guys have created something so wonderful.
Avatar really redefined my perception of the storytelling that could be put into a TV show.
Oh, thanks.
I love you guys' show.
Love Avatar.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for creating a show that both kids and adults can enjoy. Thank you so much. I love your show, and I love everything about it.
Love your show. Thank you very much.
I thought we could go for more. It was going so well, but they were always very steadfast on that. It was like, this is 3 seasons and we're out.
Well, if someone came up to you and said, I want to tell you a story, it's the best story in the world, you're like, awesome, you're like, it never ends. I would turn and walk the other way. I don't want to hear a story that never ends, unless it's the never-ending story, which is a fantastic movie.
This is the end. This is going to be the end of Aang's story, This is...
When we finally made it to the big finale, the main thing was just like, we're at the end. You know, I mean, at this point it had been years of our lives. 15-hour days and 6-7 days a week. You know, it's like by that point we were crazy.
It takes so much work to make these animated shows. You don't really see all the blood, sweat, and tears, that kind of behind the scenes stuff. All the drawings, all the, like, literally thousands and thousands of drawings that artists in LA would do, and then overseas in Korea, all the animation drawings. I mean, it's just like a ridiculous mountain of work to make 22 minutes. And for the finale, we want it to be bigger and better than anything we had done before.
We finally got to the end and decided we wanted to make the last few episodes like a movie. In every way possible.
You know, it was kind of like rallying for that final push to just have everyone bring it strong for the end and just up their game, like, even more. And once again, everyone surpassed our expectations.
Yeah.
Like, we knew we wanted it to be even more epic and more cinematic and, you know, the best animation we could possibly do, because this was the last chance we had to do it.
Everybody working so hard. Everybody. And director and Joaquin.
I mean, there was really, I think, something to live up to, not only in the fans' eyes, but from sort of a production standpoint. We knew we wanted to do something that was above and beyond what had been done up to that point.
We had decided that we wanted to get live strings.
It needed to step it up to where it needed to go. We needed live strings.
We were gonna do it even if we had to pay for it. So we sent an email to that effect. The president of Nickelodeon got the email and was like, "This is what I'm talking about. We need to give these guys, give them the budget."
He was just so sort of moved by the fact that we were willing to pay for it ourselves. We were seriously like, we want to, this is our swan song, and we want it to be, really awesome.
We had a big screening for our friends and family, Paramount.
It was decided they would be an event.
Everyone was there, the directors, animators, the voice actors.
That was a much bigger theater than I think we were all expecting.
I'd been picturing it for so long. It was amazing.
The thing that I remember most was that my wife just kept squeezing my hand tighter, 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 tighter. And she looked over at me and said, "This is the best thing that you've ever been a part of." And I couldn't agree more.
I felt like for just a moment there, I got to kind of just be purely a fan. They did it. Mike and Brian did it. I got to start crying. Like, I really thought that they pulled it off.
Back in the day, working for Avatar was really, first of all, really happy. Every storyboard artist and directors we worked on together, every time I meet them, they always say we miss Avatar. We miss that time.
As a whole, I'm like very proud of it, and it is surreal to look back and be like, oh, that was like, 5 years, 6 years of my life encapsulated in 22 minutes times 61, so whatever that is.
It is satisfying, and I look at it and there's all these, I wish we could have done that better. Oh, I wish that had turned out better. But I think it's the cumulative effect of it, and the fans, they're really just getting that whole sense of the world, and that's what's important. Nickelodeon supported us and gave us so much freedom, and we made the show we wanted to make. Mike and I just poured our hearts into it, and luckily found all these amazing people who were willing to sacrifice as much as we were. I couldn't be more proud of just what we were able to accomplish. All the great fans that have connected with it, and of all ages and all cultures. It was just a treat. And that says the end. And thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Brian and I both attended the Rhode Island School of Design, and that's where we met. It was around 1993, I think.
No. It was 1995. There's no controversy.
No, it's fine. I don't remember. See, when we get into years, I don't remember.